ostriches pack animals or are they solo? Well, ostrich are actually quite social in the sense that you'll see large groups of them. Whether they're intelligent enough to bond on a social level, I'm not sure. Normally a male and female will stick together and both parents will raise the offspring. But what you'll typically see is you'll see a group of females out in the open looking for things to eat, and then you'll have a couple of males in the area. Everything is quite settled when it's not breeding season, but as soon as the males start to get their red legs and their red facial skin, everything changes and it is serious competition between the boys. So they will fight. I've seen an ostrich fight before. That's quite hectic. They basically now I want to demonstrate how an ostrich fights, and I'm sure you would all do that, but you need two people to. But they basically chest bump each other and stand nice and tall, and then they kick with their legs like this and they open their wings. It's quite an incredible thing to see. I was very lucky. I got to spend so much time with ostriches, so that's quite neat. Otherwise they're fairly relaxed in non-breeding season. And then another thing that I got to see was male and female. Like I said, they both look after the chicks. They both help incubate the eggs, and these chicks had hatched. There must have been about 10 of them or so, running along as they do, and the next minute a jackal buzzard, which is one of my favorite bird species actually, and I've just forgotten about it. Let me show you now. Did I bring a bird book with? But I have my mobile. Where's that? Now I just have to find everything. I'll show you a picture on my app. So this jackal buzzard, which is a very striking bird, now I've just got to get to it, swooped down and tried to get one of the chicks, and then the male came back and he ran and he chased that bird away because it sort of had half picked it up. It dropped it and then flew off. It decided, right, I'm not going to win this battle. It was amazing, and they were so upset. It was incredible to see how protective they are over their young. And I'm trying to, thankfully it was there. Let's get a nice picture. How beautiful. And I'll show you now. The screen is very dusty, so we'll do the old pan swipe. Lens cleaner for who? Hey, Craig? Where's a nice one that shows your colors? No, I don't want eggs. Oh, they really don't. Oh, that one's alright. That's an okay. No, we've just got to find the right angle. Look at that. White paneling on the wings. They've got beautiful chestnut colors and browns and blacks on them. They are beautiful birds. They are so pretty. And they fly like the battaliers as well. They have a sort of wobble in their wing, which is quite cool. But isn't that nice? It's a pity we don't get them here. I really do like those birds. So that's the jackal buzzard. That's another one of my favorite birds. But I always forget about, like I said, I haven't seen one in years, for a very, very long time. They don't occur up here. I just wish we could have got to seen the ostrich. I think that would have been so splendid this morning. Who's walking here? Monkeys. Must be from yesterday then. A little bit early. Well, we're going to keep going towards the hyena den, and hopefully we'll find something interesting at that den. Maybe the others have returned. But let's go back across to James, who is in his studio. And I don't know what skeleton he's going to show you next.
Found a crocodile lurking in the dusty crossing. He was a mobile. Yes, you did, Rebecca. You did go to the wrong one. You silly, silly girl. There it is, dusty crossing. The crocodile was heading. The problem in the rapids. While we sit here and look and see if it doesn't come out, I just want to clarify. I did a little bit of reading on the crocodile, and I was correct. It cannot move its jaw from side to side, and that is because it needs that very powerful bite, and the sacrifice it makes by having the able to hold whatever it is. It has to have basically bone in place to stop its prey twisting out of its jaws. And so because the jaws can't twist, the prey cannot twist the jaws. And that comes with the sacrifice of, and therefore the ability to chew. And also it means that the bite up, or the movement of the jaw upwards, is very weak, which of course gives rise to the fact that you can actually hold a crocodile's jaw shut with your hands. Viola and Ad, how many teeth a crocodile have? Well, let's have a look. Now, the reason that I'm wearing the hat, of course, is because it's quite sunny there at the desk. You'll see Stefan Winterboer is working frantically. He's not wearing a hat. He never wears a hat. Let's go across and count the number of teeth. Are you ready, folks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 14 here. I'm going to assume they're 14 that side. That's 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 36 on top. And what did I say? 28 on the bottom takes us to 48, 68 teeth, I think. Is that correct? Am my maths correct there? 68 teeth. Now, what's interesting, of course, is that a crocodile, if it loses a tooth, well, then the tooth will return. Unlike us, if I was to, for example, punch Fergus in the teeth and knock his front ones out, he would have to go and get some severe dentist work done in order to look human again. Whereas the crocodile will always look like a crocodile because waiting in the skull here is a replacement for any tooth that might get knocked out, which I think is quite important if you rely on your teeth to I don't know a huge number of differences. They are from the same family, are they? They're from the same order, certainly. They look superficially very similar, but crocodiles, certainly South African crocodiles, are very different. Oh, sorry, I believe we went black screen briefly there. Between alligators and crocodiles. Alligators don't get anything like the size. They tend to eat largely fish and other reptiles. They don't go for a huge number of mammals. Yes, they will take small mammals, but they tend not to be hugely dangerous to human beings. And then, of course, in the same group of animals, you have the caimans, which tend to be slightly longer snouted, much more fragile than these, and they, of course, occur in various parts of the New World, the Americas. In Africa, of course, we also get the snouted crocodile, the long-snouted crocodile, which has a very thin, long snout, much less of a challenge to human beings. And in fact, there are 7 species of crocodile, if I'm not mistaken, that occur in Africa. So they are very different, well, quite different from the alligators, but I can't tell you more than that, I'm afraid. Isn't that interesting? Good. I'm going to put my hat. Take the longest possible route to the hyena den. She's still not quite there.
James, I keep getting distracted. You should know me by now. Because I saw all the lion tracks and I wanted to check for myself that they did cross west. And then I thought I'd better check a little bit more of Triple M. Maybe Shadow's tracks come across. I'm doing it for the greater good. But we're here. We're almost there. I promise we're almost at the hyena den. We're on Gallagher shortcut now. But yeah, so, well, I don't know what to expect when we get to the den. We'll just have to wait and see if anybody's home. Hopefully someone's there. I would really enjoy it if a herd of 100 elephants would like to come through at this moment in time. That would be very nice. Elephants, if you can hear me, you should be able to hear me. Maybe I should be like Dory from Finding Nemo, and instead of trying to speak whale, try and speak elephant in rumbles. Maybe they'll be able to pick it up like that, and then they can meet me somewhere and bring the ostriches as well. But we'll get into the den and then we'll see if our little friends are home. And I wonder how Tristan's doing. Megan, have you heard from Tristan and Seb this morning? Are they still alive? Of course they're still alive. Don't panic. I reckon we might even have to swing past and to make sure that the boys are okay. They're busy taking an antenna down at the moment. They've got all their climbing gear on. I'm too scared of heights to go up there. I wouldn't have even been able to go up the first part of the ladder, was too high. Well, not scared of heights, but I have vertigo, so I can't be on the edge of things. And well, when you're up on the tower, you are at the edge of everything. There's no way around it. Craig, are you scared of heights? Not your favorite, but not scared like me. Okay, here we go. We're turning into the hyena den. I bet James is sitting back in Kenya biting his nails. Oh, Impala, don't do that to me. I don't know what it is. This one was the one that gave me the fright. There was an impala that looked like it was running straight out towards Kruger. Now, you may have heard the rustling in the grass. It was obviously just feeding on some of these plants here. But as I turned and looked, the impala was at my door. And I thought, that's a little bit too close. I'm the queen of getting frights from the animals. I don't know why I get such frights. It's not like I'm scared of them or anything. Okay, can I see any little fluffy ears? I cannot see any fluffy ears just yet. I don't see any adults laying in their normal spot. Oh no. I'm so sad right now. This is very, very sad. Our little friend is just sitting out in the sun, obviously trying to keep warm. It is alive. You can see it's breathing. Now, this is the next thing we need to start discussing, and it's not something that I want to talk about, and nobody wants to hear it, but we have to start thinking, was that hyena that was killed in Buffelshoek Scarback the mother of this little cub? Because it's not getting any bigger. If anything, this little one is actually shrinking in size. And it used to have lots and lots of energy when we first started seeing it, and now it barely even moves. Now, hyena milk is really quite high in fat, and they can last a little bit longer than a lion or a leopard that would need to suckle every few hours, at least every day. These guys can go a few days without drinking, but I don't know if it's looking too good for this youngster. It didn't even lift its head up and look at me. Now, of course, this is nature. Nature is cruel, but I can tell you right now that the emotions that I'm feeling are sad, as humans will worry about that. And of course, you're all thinking, why don't I just jump out and rescue it and save it? We can't. That hyena wasn't killed because, if it is, of course, Scarback, we don't know. I'm just speculating now, but I'm just trying to put two and two together. I have not seen this little one suckle once. I've seen ribbons cubs suckling often, but not this youngster. And it really does make me sad, but we can't intervene. It's not something that happened because of human interference. It's nature. She could have been taken out by a leopard, by a lion, by a snake. There's so many different ways, but this little one's not looking good. And I'm very, very sad. Craig, we're not going to sit here. I unfortunately cannot sit and watch this hyena cub. And also there aren't any adults around here. And I just don't think it's very pleasant to sit and watch something like this. So we are going to carry on. And we're going to see what else we can find. Now, I'm very sorry about that, everybody. It isn't nice. And I hope that it isn't Scarback that was taken out, and not just by some miracle that someone adopts this cub, but that's also probably not going to happen because hyenas don't really do that, but anything is possible out in nature. But we'll carry on, and we'll see what else we can find. James is, of course, still sitting in his office, and he's staring down at the river. And he's going to tell you some more things about the wonderful life that lives along the water's edge.
It's very bright in here, and that is a very sad story. Let's go to the mountain camp. There we go. I don't mean to be facetious about it, but really it is dreadful to see a little hyena like that, especially as we love hyenas so much, and especially as we know that they are quite unlike what these animals are going. Where these people are going, they're going towards that looks like a bus, which is quite fascinating, but they're going towards almost certainly the Agama pride, which Scott found there in that gully today. There's another bus. I'm sure the lions are over there. That is amazing. Tourism's done differently out here, everyone. Anyway, the Agama Pride, of course, had lots of questions about the fact that they seem to be, well, one of the mothers might lose a cub, and then there were questions about if the mother died, would the cub be looked after? And the answer is, of course, yes. If there's a lactating female in the pride, she will feed the youngsters that are not, or that have lost their mother. And in a hyena clan, it is entirely different. If your mother dies in a hyena clan, you are done for, you are finished. And so that's a very sad story there. Now, I know that might be a slightly distressing picture to see, but remember, every one of these people is paying $80 a day for the pleasure of being in this park. And that is why this magnificent area is able to maintain itself as a magnificent area. So although very different from Djuma, the same number of private lodges that occurs in Sabi Sands does not occur here, and so that kind of tourism has to happen. And in fact, there's very little impact because, remember, they're not allowed to drive off-road at all. Now there is a very large group of animals, as Soraya says to us. No, in fact, they're rocks. So Soraya says, how many animals participate in the migration? Soraya, roughly 1.5 million wildebeest, about 300,000 zebra, I'm told, probably about, no, 200,000 zebra, about 300,000 Thompson's gazelles, and about 20,000 eland apparently take part in the migration. Those topi that you can see top right, they do not take part in the migration. And yet there are thousands of them around here. Let's just pan along them, and let's just spot to see if perhaps the Agama Pride isn't, there's some warthogs in the background, if the Agama Pride is not heading up into this area. If they hunt during the day, this is the area that they will use. Zebra there, and then there's a waterhole, like I said, just to the side along that road that's going along the bottom of your screen there. I do hope that that little hyena survives, but if its mother has died, well, as Taylor said, it's tickets. Let's just keep moving along here. We'll zoom out a little. Lots of zebras, you can see. There's just so much activity down on these fertile plains. It's wonderful. All right, we'll go all the way back out again, and you can see how high up we are perched now by zooming all the way out. There we go. And we're going up the Olololo escarpment, and you can see just about all the way down the 370,000 acre Masai Mara. Angela, you're wondering about flamingos and if there are any here. I wonder if they haven't been seen once or twice, but no, the conditions for flamingos do not occur really here. They need shallow salt lakes, and there are certainly many shallow salt lakes in Kenya, and you would probably find a whole lot of them in the shallows of Lake Victoria, perhaps. I'm not sure exactly where they're found in Kenya. And you might find them in a number of the other Rift Valley lakes, certainly. I'm just looking into this tree. We sometimes see some very interesting birds here. It would be quite fun to have a leopard up there, wouldn't it? This camera is very clever. Anyway, I'm not sure actually what kind of tree this is. Looks like a shot here, but I'm not sure. James, you want to know if the trees of this area maintain their leaves all year round. Yes, they do, largely. There's no real winter. We're in the middle of winter now. We're just south of the equator, so we are in winter in theory. But, and while it does get hotter in January and February, I mean, it just doesn't get cold. And so I think you'll find that most of the trees, in fact, I would say 90% of them keep their leaves all year round. There's a lovely picture there, and you can see as the exposure changes, you can see the revelation of the endless amounts of space extending off to the north there and to the east. Good. Now, I wonder, shall we go across to one of the crossings, perhaps to Dusty Crossing? And I'll zoom out from Dusty Crossing. There we are. Now, as the heat starts to build, I imagine the animals are going to come down to the water, and at Dusty Crossing, the place that they will cross is there. That is where they will come down to the water. They go either side of that sort of knoll there, if you like, and they might sometimes come across from the side as well, but it's largely from the other side at this particular crossing. Anyway, so it goes. Now, I just wanted to quickly, I remembered, if you come back to me in the studio, I remembered, of course, that we have something over here that Taylor was looking for. I'll take my hat off now. And that's an ostrich foot. How fun is this? It's even got a mantis on it. Anyway, there's the foot of an ostrich, and you can see that it has only 2 toes, which I'm sure Taylor showed you in the track. But look at that, it is a remarkable adaptation. And I think you will find that there are vestigial sort of bone splint, sort of what used to be a toe, but is no longer. So even though it's only got 2 toes, you will find at least probably 4, at least 2 more vestigial points on the bones from which the other toes used to come. Anyway, there is the ostrich. Let's head across to Taylor. She is now sitting at the waterhole of Voyatella.
No, we're not sitting at anything, I'm afraid. We are driving past Voyatella Dam. The reason why we're driving past is, remember how I mentioned to you that we heard a leopard calling early this morning during the pre-show? I think it's time that we go and follow up and see if we can't pick up on any tracks. So I was chatting to Andrew. He says he's in the area now. He's searching for footprints. So he's quite far ahead of us. We're on Central. We'll probably go through Hyena Road and then go up towards Buffelshoek Dam. And hopefully by the time that we get sort of in line with Hyena Road, we'll be able to see some footprints. I don't know which way the leopard was going. Either I could only hear it call once, and if it is Tingana, who likes to make a lot of noise, as he must, being the resident and the dominant male in this area, he could have come from either not Cheetah Plains, he could have come from Torchwood and coming back this way towards Voyatella, or he could have been going along Buffelshoek boundary back towards Torchwood. But once we pick up on some footprints, that of course will help us put together our story, or if we pick up footprints even down here, which is a possibility. So we just need to keep an eye out everywhere we drive here, because that leopard can move if it is him. He travels like you have absolutely no idea. So even though I heard that calling in the far sort of northeast, it could be anywhere by now. And especially because it was so chilly this morning, so he might have been able to have moved a little bit quicker and even a little bit further before he would sit down and rest. But also, again, Tingana does like to rest at this time, typically. Maybe we see him curled up in a spot. We're not far from Hyena Road now. We've just gone through Giraffe Dip. We should pass Vulture's Nest. No, not Vulture's Nest. We'll get Hyena Road first. Oh, here's... This is Andrew's chatting. So Andrew's just said on the radio he's picked up leopard tracks, male leopard tracks, and they're sort of zigzagging in and out of Djuma and Buffelshoek from Buffelshoek Dam. He's obviously on a patrol, but where he's going to pop out, I don't know. So let's just check Hyena Road anyways, and hopefully we get lucky. So he's coming back this side. Okay. Mike, you say that the roads out here have got such cool names. They do. Wouldn't it make it more entertaining if the city road names were named after animals and using all the local languages for the names? I think it would be much more pleasant to drive around than the N4, the H1, R343, all these random names of roads. But yes, I do enjoy the road names out here. They're quite funny. We always talk about it because some of the road names are so similar. Wherever you go, you'll always find a specific type of road that has the same name. There's always a cheetah plains or a zebra plains, zebra open as an open area. That is it. I don't know where the birds are this morning. I kid you not. We have not seen any birds today, which is crazy because normally at this time they really are as active as what they're going to be. Other than a handful of doves and the odd go-away bird sitting right at the top of the tree trying to sun itself, that is really it. Now the soil's nice and soft here. I don't know when last Hyena Road was driven. It actually doesn't look like it was driven recently. No. There's no tire tracks on here. They've almost been completely wiped away, which is, I suppose, good for us. You can see the animal tracks quite clearly. Just impala, some bushbuck and nyala footprints left behind though. Not even a hyena track on Hyena Road. You would think, seeing as though it has this name, it should have hyena tracks on it. Not today. So we're not far from Buffelshoek Dam, or at least the fire break. Wee wee. Megan, I know that there's gremlins along this road, but maybe if I put foot, I can get out of this gremlin zone and quickly get to Buffelshoek Dam, where I know the signal does pick up a little bit. Megan says, let's do it. Sometimes what happens is that the gremlins jump aboard and then you give them a good bashing, and it just takes a little bit of distance away from a particular bad area, and then we pick up picture again. So we'll try that and see how it goes. There's some elephants that were here too, but they don't look particularly fresh. I think this was maybe from yesterday morning sometime. There's quite a bit of sand blown over their tracks. Remember how windy it has been. I can tell you it is so much more pleasant when the wind is not out. But it also just shows you that, I suppose, sometimes when the animals just don't want to be found, they don't want to be found, even on the nicest days. Hey Craig, have you even seen one bird fly from a tree yet? Not even a magpie shrike this morning. That's unbelievable. That is a Logosaurus. I thought I'd spotted something. It's nothing though. We'll just go through along this road very quickly. Remember the days when the lions used to live here? John, you've said, did I hear correctly? Do we have a mimic bird day? Is that correct, Megan? Oh, a mimic bird there, not a mimic bird day. I don't know if we have a bird called a mimic bird, but there are many different birds out here that mimic other birds and other species. Fork-tailed drongo, I think, is the most obvious one. And one of their favorite calls at the moment to mimic is that of the pearl-spotted owlet. So you think, that owl's right here, and it's perfect time. It's, it's that crepuscular period. The sun has just set, so it's that twilight zone. And you think, sure, we're going to find it. It's right here on the branch, out in the open. And then you look to your left, and it's a fork-tailed drongo. So that happens quite often. The southern bobos are also really good at mimicking other birds. And then again, the drongo doesn't just mimic birds, but it mimics, of course, other animal species as well. Who's calling like that? I heard a bird. No, I think this is the area where the leopard tracks were seen. That's cool. They were on the fire break at Buffelshoek Dam at one point as well. I think they moved through here last night. Because, like I said, yesterday was so windy. These tracks would be completely obliterated. There's Andrew. What's Andrew doing? Is he changing a tire? And is he looking for tracks? He's got all his guests off the car. He's having tea and coffee on the boundary. Okay. I think let's go around. Let's check if we can actually find the tracks that Andrew had. I'm going to go and have a chat to him. Maybe he'll offer me a cup of coffee. Who knows? But let's go back across to James, and he's got some hippopotami.
There we do indeed have some hippos, everybody, sitting in the Mara River in the gurgling for who knows what, probably for, well, I guess sundown when they can get out and go and eat again. They're very tired after their heavy evening of wassailing in the bush. Now, I'm going to try something very special. Rebecca, come back to the sky cam if we can. I'm in the mountain cam, yes. Quickly, quickly. There's a bird, and I think it's a fish eagle. Ooh, I'm not as good as Connor. Sorry, everybody. Come on. Again, it's just up. There it is. Look, it's hovering. It's not a fish eagle. It's probably a black-breasted snake eagle. How cool is that? It's not a black-breasted snake eagle. I wonder what... I can't actually identify what bird it is. How wonderful is this? Looks like a seagull at the moment. It certainly isn't a seagull. Look at it. Oh dear, sorry, lost it again. Suddenly, what happens, of course, is that this thing loses focus. It's a bit like a child with an attention deficit problem. I understand that entirely. Let me just zoom out again. If there isn't actually anything for it to look at. Where are we? Oh. Fergus has actually got... Oh, I see, Fergus has got the bird. I think it's actually a jackal buzzard. Let me try and find it again. It's gone below, I think too high above where I can see. Yeah, alas and alack. There, maybe it'll come into view now on my picture. No. What a mess. Now, everybody, that's the studio lights that you're seeing in the reflection there. There, I've spotted it again. Hang on a second. I'm not sure that Fergus's picture isn't going to be better than mine. There, I've got it now, everybody, but apparently Fergus's is better. This one will be slightly steadier because obviously no one's holding the camera, but getting it to focus is a little bit more difficult. Isn't that wonderful? I'm afraid I cannot tell you what bird that is. It looked like a jackal buzzard when it flew over the top of us. No, don't lose focus. There we go. Oh, it's diving! It's diving! No, this thing just lost it. Now, Neen, there it goes. Oh, it's plummeting down. Well done, Fergus. Neen, you say, do we get black vultures or turkey vultures here? No, we don't get black vultures or turkey vultures. As far as I'm aware, Neen, those are... that down, which means they occur only in the New World, so in the Americas, and you'll find that they are not actually very closely related even to our vultures here. Our vultures here find their prey almost exclusively from sight, whereas the New World ones, what they do is they find their prey using the sense of smell. And they're much more closely related to things like the marabou stork over here. Let's head back to Taylor now, who I believe is also looking for some hippopotami, possibly on the northeastern corner of Djuma.
We are not looking for hippopotami, but we are looking for a leopardi. And I've got leopard tracks here, except they are male leopard tracks. Is that I've just spoken to Andrew. He offered me a cup of coffee, but I couldn't take him up on that offer. I would have loved to. We want to find a leopard, of course. And he said that just after I spoke to Andrew on the radio, Ralph said he had leopard audio coming from over here. So now I'm confused, because the way that they're describing it is that it came from Gwari Pan, but then there were leopard tracks over there. So I'm not quite sure as to what's exactly going on. But let's go back in. Let's just do a quick check on Gwari Pan Road. It's not really going to do us any harm, I suppose. We haven't really been particularly lucky with anything. You've just all had to listen to my wonderful stories today. Maybe there's something exciting happening at the dam. Please be a leopard drinking. Pretty please. Nope. And doesn't even look like there's a hippopotami here today either. I don't know where the hippos have gone. This has been like the second time I've come up to Buffelshoek Dam, and you can have a look at it. We'll just drive past slowly. Oh, look, our first bird as well, Craig. A Birchall starling. Yay! Success. Who's coming up to our car? I think you are confused, my friend. I'm not going to stop for tea and coffee. This behavior that this bird is doing. What have we got there? He's eating something. Is that a chip? So this is exactly what I was going to say, is that often people stop for sundowners on the dam wall or tea and coffee on the dam wall, and as you can imagine, the odd crisp or piece of biltong or nut or crumbs from the rusk, the twice baked biscuits fall down on the ground. And I reckon that this starling is obviously used to it, and perhaps it flies around looking or just hanging around in these known sundowner spots or tea and coffee spots because it's going to get a free meal. Because when have you ever seen a Birchall starling so close to the car? Oh, you are a funny fella, aren't you? Isn't that hilarious? And birds are very easily habituated. We see it a lot with the hornbills. I remember when I was guiding down at Sabi, there was this one spot on a property we used to traverse on called Nottens, and it was under a big, massive Balanites tree. It was such a great morning tea and coffee spot, and there was about 4 hornbills that lived there. They didn't go anywhere else because at least once a day someone would stop there and the crumbs would be all on the floor and they'd have the best time, but they'd come right up to your feet. It wouldn't, I mean, not that we'd encourage feeding the birds, so every time someone tried to feed them, like, I would, of course, reprimand them and say, no, you cannot feed the wild animals. Obviously, you can't help the odd crumb falling down on the ground, but I wouldn't allow anybody to let those birds take something for your hand. How cool is that? Right, let's carry on. Let's find this leopard. So sorry, Megan, can I have that question from Roshni again? Oh, we've got more birds. There's go-away birds too. Oh. No, it's not the greatest view, unfortunately, of the go-away birds, but there are some sitting on the edge of a buffalo thorn. Ah, it's just flown. Never mind. It's now going into another tree, into the big Balanites tree. So, Roshni, you've commented and you've said that starlings have got such nice colours depending on the way that the sun is sort of exposed on their feathers, and that is 100%. That's because of the iridescence. I don't think the Birchall starlings are particularly pretty when it comes to sort of coloration. I like the Cape Glossy starlings and the greater blue-eared. They're also quite nice. What are Mr. and Mrs. Lapwing shouting about? So I don't know what they're panicking about, but something seems to upset them. But sadly, no hippos here. Let's carry on. Let's go down towards Guaripan Road. We might as well drive it. And hopefully we get to hear this leopard again, because if we can hear it, that will, of course, pinpoint us in the right direction. But we'll check around here. If we don't get lucky here, then maybe we'll go back on Central. Maybe this leopard has gone. I don't know where it's gone, actually. Tough one. Now, Snorky Maiden, you're wondering if leopards go swimming. Well, I've never seen a leopard go swimming. I'm sure that they are well capable of being able to swim, just like the other big cats. But we do occasionally see leopards diving into sort of water, muddy water, not necessarily super deep, to catch catfish, barbel, and things like that. So they will do that. And then if you go up, of course, to the jaguars and the Pantanal in Brazil, they are exceptional swimmers. So our leopards don't necessarily take to water. I think if it were in dire strait, they might. And if it meant that they were going to get a meal, maybe they were starving, most certainly you can't cross that off your list. But I, unfortunately, have never personally experienced that. But I look forward to the day that I come across a leopard swimming. I think it'll be quite exciting. Well, Sana and Shongile gave us great sightings of them diving into the watering holes trying to catch terrapins. But that was sort of the furthest extent I've seen a leopard in the water. Other than that, it has escaped me. Right, who else are we going to find here? Please, Tangana, we need you. We need you today. we find some more birds now that it's warmed up. I'd like to see brown-headed parrots today. I haven't actually heard them this morning, and normally we always hear them flying overhead. I'm just in two minds though about the leopard tracks that I've just seen and then this call coming from this side. Maybe there's two leopards on the property. So I don't really know where to go, because the tracks aren't old, they're definitely fresh. But it was so close to the boundary, and if it is Tingana, knowing him, he's probably disappeared in somewhere inside Buffelshoek. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Ui. Oh, you know what I want to show you is, do you remember ages ago, it could have even been last year, the elephants pushed over a tree and they made us change our sort of route. You can see they pushed over this tree just over here, and our road used to come back and over this way. I just want to show you how well it's recovered. Craig, you see those two patches just over there, the sand patches? That's where the road used to be. Look how nicely the grass is covered over it, and we didn't even do any brush packing or anything here. Now typically when you want a road to rehabilitate itself, you will, and we've spoken about brush packing and the conservation efforts quite a bit, you'll lay the thorn, typically trees with spikes or thorns on them over here, and it just stops the animals from feeding on the new grass, and it also provides some protection to the bare soil, especially when you have windy days. Of course you get all different types of erosion, and we didn't even do that, and it recovered so well, which is good. Which is nice. We had to make the detour going around the other way. Okay, leopard. Oh, let's also turn my game drive radio on because Andrew might be finished his tea and coffee. I wonder if, you know what I'm trying to think? It's like he's walking the complete opposite route that we had him walking the other afternoon. Remember when I was trying to show you Tingana at one point? It was so funny because he was so far away in Buffelshoek and we couldn't get a view of him, but then later on we managed to find him, and he came out of the drainage line from a little bit east of Gari Cut Line, and then he walked all the way along Buffelshoek and he turned in at the dam. It's like he's done a reverse, and he's come from Buffelshoek Dam, and now he's going back along the fire break, cross through the quarry, and then back onto the cut line. So we will do Gwari Pan Road very quickly. We'll check around Gwari Pan itself, the dried up mud wallow that's there, because he does like to lay in that drainage line. We've seen him a number of different times there. And hopefully we'll be able to find something, but it's been fairly quiet out here today. But we'll keep our eyes and ears open, of course, and maybe we get lucky. Let's go back across to James and his new friends, the hippos.
It is very important to keep one's eyes and ears wide open, everyone. Otherwise you miss things. You don't hear them. You don't hear, smell, or see the beauty of the wilderness, which I'm sure Taylor will do just now. There are a whole lot of hippopotamus in the gurgling brook, and I believe we have some questions about them. The answer is I don't think so, Paul. We have yet to see that. Unfortunately, these cameras do not work at night time, so we're unable to tell you if they do at night entirely. Across at night, and we said, well, we didn't really know, because he didn't know either. He said he'd be fascinated to know. We're hoping that perhaps one day our cameras will pick something up like that. And then, Brenda, you're wondering if any of the elephants cross the crossing. Probably do, Brenda. I think you'll find that they spend quite a lot of time going to and fro over the river, but of course for them it's not really a hugely taxing thing, because they're very tall and nothing is going to go for an elephant except maybe a very vicious crocodile for a tiny one. Now, we have a hippopotamus skull here. There it is. And, well, I'm filming it, you'll see, so it's a little bit, it might be a little bit wonky, but I think it looks all right. But what I wanted to show you is the difference in the size, or the similarity in the size between an enormous crocodile and a hippopotamus. And there you can see them there. And they are roughly the same size, but the hippo, well, they're roughly the same length, but the hippo's is much taller, obviously, and you can see it's got a much more substantial bottom jaw. Now, that said, as I put it down here, you just see if I can do this. Is that still sharp, Rebecca? Does that look vaguely sharp? That is not sharp. All right, that is good. There we go. What we have there, it's much lighter and therefore less dense than the crocodiles. And what's interesting, if we flip this over, I'll flip it over and then I'll come back to the camera. There we go. What here, there, just sort of over there, is probably about 5 or 6 times the size of the reptilian brain in the crocodile, which I think is rather fascinating. And we can just take you around these vicious things. And I tell you, if you were to see this skull, not knowing that it was a hippo, you may well assume that it was in fact a terrifying predator of some kind, and that those teeth couldn't possibly only be used for defense and fighting over ladies. Now, Mike, you're wondering if hippos can jump. If we cut back to the river, we might actually be able to see them jumping. There we go, we're back on the river now. And you can see there that there is not a huge amount of jumping going on, but they do jump, Mike. They do quite a lot of leaping about. Let me just go back out of this one. Oh, it seems that there's a bit of wobbling going on the... No, this is the wind. There we go. But we definitely see hippo jumping about and cavorting quite often. You can see the wind is really coming up now. Let's just go from side to side here. I wonder if we're not going to have another big storm this afternoon. Maybe. I think there's definitely been water under the river being this full yesterday. Let me zoom out again. There's some people on safari, luckily behaving themselves. Oh, hang on a second. It looks like there might be a crossing. No, there's a topi. They don't normally do a huge amount of crossing. Although they have done in the last few days, they did. Have a look at these topi.
Let's have a look at these topi.
Right, let's look at the topi. Not renowned for crossing, but they do it, and certainly one or two got. Those are quite special. I wonder if they won't come down and try and cross the river. And then I noticed a very nice bird. I think it's the yellow-billed stork that Steph watched catching a feech yesterday. Oops, wrong way. All right, I believe we're experiencing black screens again. Let's head across to Taylor, who's looking for a leopard.
And I hope we find that leopard too. So we've all just been chatting on the radio trying to figure out what's going on, and Rolf says that there's quite a few tracks sort of coming in and out of Buffelshoek. The tracks also come from Torchwood side, so I don't know if there's maybe 2 male leopards around here. It just seems a bit strange now. We've heard one calling not so long ago, about half an hour ago down here, and we've already got tracks quite far up that way. So I wonder who is who in the zoo here. I don't know who else would be calling so much other than Tingana, though we had that interesting situation where we obviously had Tristan and he had Mvula, who had stolen Shongile's kill, and then Tandi also joined the party for a little bit. I just want to quickly scan in that drainage to make sure that there's nothing sitting on the bank there. And that night we could hear a leopard the entire evening, and Tingana wasn't on the property. Tingana was seen far away, so that can only mean that it was Mvula, and it did sound like a deep gruff saw, which was interesting because he's not really marking and defending territories anymore. Like we always refer to him as he's in retirement now. So I wonder, but let's go back to these last tracks that I had, and then I think we're going to retrace our steps and do the route that we did the other evening when we were following Tingana. We had that amazing sighting of him. So I think that's going to be our goal, and maybe we can figure out what's happening. Maybe Tingana's got a kill somewhere and he was just coming back and forth to get water. That's another thing. See, here's the leopard tracks. See, walking exactly the same thing what he did the other night. I'm going to turn the car for you slightly, Craigie, so you can see better. Wait, I just want to jump out actually and have a close. Oh no, I'm now standing on hippo dung. Here's the big male leopard tracks. Going that way. He walked this exact same route, going on the fire break, and those are the tracks that we had a little bit further away, and then going north again. So I don't know if we're just 2 steps behind. Obviously, I didn't know where to go this morning. We had those hyenas right there, and that was quite interesting. And I said I heard that leopard. Now I'm thinking maybe I should have raced on over here, and we would have caught him. But who really knows? I could have still been behind him, in fact. Let's keep going. That's how I said it's hard. We need lots of guides to help you to check all the properties so you can check the areas as quick as possible. You know, the favorite spots of the leopards and the lions. Okay, so Andrew and his guests are still having coffee. But we'll carry on here. Let's go check maybe we need to head all the way towards Gowrie Cut Line and check from that side. There's definitely nothing on here. Maybe we're going to find Tingana on an ostrich kill. Wouldn't that be something? That's what I'm dreaming of course. I don't know if I think I might actually be sad, because if I see my first ostrich in the north, I'd want it to be alive and not being eaten by something. That's for sure. Okay, we're just retracing our steps just a little bit, because his tracks don't carry on along here. There's hyena tracks here, but old hyena tracks. I think they obviously cut through and went up onto the boundary again. What's for breakfast, Craig? What you got there? A pear? Craig's nibbling. He's now laughing because I don't think he thought I was going to tell everyone that he's eating a pear. Is it delicious? Is it just ripe, golden? Can you describe the taste of the pear for us, please, Craig? Medium texture, slightly too hard. He says it could have been a little bit riper, but sweet. Pretty sweet, says Craig. That's so funny. So that's Craig in the morning describing his pre-breakfast. Okay, I'm also going to just keep scanning into Buffelshoek, because maybe he does have a kill. Maybe he's just up in a tree somewhere. Maybe we'll be able to see him. It would be nice. Checking all these marulas as well. There's plenty of spots for him to go if he does have a kill. Right, we're going to keep searching, and I really hope we get a last minute leopard today. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Scott has managed to fight off all the gremlins. He's up and running, and hopefully he's going to be the savior of the day and find us some cats.
Greetings everyone, and welcome on board with myself, Scott, and Ferg on camera. We've also got a visitor who's more used to being in the office, Louise, so great pleasure to have her on the vehicle to get her into the action as opposed to watching it from up there. Now, we had quite a successful morning. Sadly you weren't with us, but the good news is we can confirm that the Lioness with the 3 small cubs, one of which was stranded, is in fact safe. It is no longer stranded in a crevice. We got a visual of them this morning, so all is well there, and that's where we're going to head back to now, in the hope that we may get a glimpse of them. I'm not feeling hugely confident at this stage, because the last we saw she did head into a little riverbed where we cannot gain access to see down inside. But there were also 2 other lioness from that pride. It is the Agama pride. For those of you who may be joining for the first time, it's important you get to know who's who. And basically we saw 2 lioness. I'm pretty sure they were the mothers of the 7 larger cubs, which are around 6 months old. And what was interesting is that the lioness with the tiny cubs went and collected them and brought them back to the... Let's actually see what's going on there. I just saw a hummerkop flapping in a little riverbed here. Seem to be hunting. I fear though that our angles are not going to be sufficient, as it's quite a tight gap. If you just zoom into that, the brightest green patch. Oh, there it goes. Come closer. I love watching these hummerkops fly, hunt and fly. Well done, Ferg. As I was saying, the lioness went and collected the 3 smaller cubs and brought them up to one of the lioness, who greeted them, but they weren't exposed to the 7 cubs, which are quite a lot bigger than them. So I think the mother's slowly kind of introducing them to the pride, but not fully confident that they'll be able to take the bullying and playful nature of the 7 bigger cubs. Hello to Deer Watcher and many others who are expressing their elations with the good news that these cubs are in fact okay. So basically, to sum up what we know about the pride this morning, is that there's 3 lioness, 2 of which have got 7 larger cubs, 1 of which has got 3 of the smallest cubs in the pride, and there's 1 lioness missing. Her cubs are kind of in between the larger ones and the smallest ones. So who knows where she is, but at least what I've kind of found is that we haven't been seeing all 4 of them together simultaneously that much. I think that will change when all the cubs become fully compatible with one another. And won't that be wonderful, seeing 4 lioness and 13 cubs moving about together. So, on our right over here is where the lioness dipped down into the riverbed, and they spend a lot of time in this riverbed. It actually makes our lives hugely easy in terms of finding them, but it can be a little bit tricky when they drop down into it. Now what's interesting is that even in this long grass that's quite close to us, we were quite surprised by the fact that quite a few of the lions are really difficult to see unless they pop their heads up, so they could still be lying in this grass. Tricky to be certain. I'm not sure if I've got your name right, but it's something like Cold Ply, I think. You'd like to know if people will intervene to rescue animals in the Masai Mara. And as far as I'm aware, yes, they will intervene in certain scenarios. What exactly determines the ability for them to, or the decision to be made to intervene, I'm not entirely sure. Different areas have got different policies on intervening, and I'm actually, like I said, not entirely sure on the Masai Mara's policies, but I have heard a few stories of people intervening to try and assist animals that are in need. Our policy as a general rule is hands off, eyes only. We all at Safari Life believe that the best conservation is done by spectating as a general rule, and unless there's some kind of a man-made impact, i.e. an animal is run over, it's caught in a snare by poachers, or some human-related injury is caused, then we'll intervene, because obviously Mother Nature didn't intend for us to harm them. Okay. Now what the lions may have done have moved further down this riverbed. I'm hoping that's the case and that we're going to get a few glimpses of them. But for now, we'll be able to show you another beautiful little bird. It's at about 2 o'clock, Ferg. Little bee eater. Look at that. This is one of my favorite birds, certainly, and it's mainly because of that little streak of blue turquoise. And it's just an unsuspecting insect. Oh, did you get it, Ferg? It caught a butterfly. There it is, there it is. It's still there. Oh, look at that. How awesome is this? Well, oh, you just threw your breakfast away. Food. A food fight with itself. Now, that is bizarre. And the only thing that I can think to justify that behavior was that it was a foul-tasting butterfly. And, oh, it's going for another one. I've lost track of it. Oh, it missed. It's back on the same perch. Well, isn't this exciting? Let's see if we can get it in action one more time. Ooh, this is going to be super tricky. I've thrown Ferg into a bit of a tricky situation here. But let's see now. If he zooms out like he has, he's now a little bit more ready to stay on it. Let's see if we can't see one more aerial attack. It's certainly got more than enough prey around. There are these butterflies streaming past it. Another miss. Oh no, it got something smaller there. And it gobbled it up. So obviously that was something a little bit more tasty. Thank you, little bee eater, for showing us such beautiful aerial displays. Okay, we're going to continue down this riverbed. Hopefully the lions will poke their heads out. But in the meantime, we're going to head up to the migration control with Mr. Henry, where he is going to be able to explain a little bit more about the lion dynamics.
Well, yes, the male lions of the Mara area are, well, very varied indeed. And Mike, you were wondering about how many there are and where they live. We're still getting a handle on it. But basically, in the Mara Triangle, we've got two groups here. The Triangle boys, so named because the Mara Triangle, live in this area around here that I'm indicating with my Maasai sword. Then we have got the Musketeers, who many of you know, very famous lions. They've got quite a small territory around this area here. That, of course, is a piece of artistic license from the map department. It doesn't actually exist. But there we have the Musketeers, so there are 4 male lions there. They're probably about 13 now, 13 or 14. The Triangle boy is probably a bit younger than them, maybe about 10 at this stage. And then there are a number of males around about the south here, down towards the south of the river. We have the Notch boys, of course. 2 of them left here. One of them is called Notch 2, that's him there, and the other is Caesar, that's him there. This one here, called Ron, with his salon quality hair, is deceased. That's why he's got a red cross through him. Anyway, they operate in this area here. There are a few other males of indeterminate sort of origin, and who they are we don't really know. And the reason we don't know, because we don't spend a huge amount of time here, there isn't much signal. And so I'm not sure what's going on in that region. You'll probably find the notches move across that way. Then, across this area, around Kikarok and to the Olalai Muchek village in the far eastern sector, there is also a little bit of confusion as to who the males are. So these areas here we're not particularly sure about. If we go back to the marsh over here to answer Andy's question, this should say marsh, not no man's land. I think the person who designed this map had clearly been reading Treasure Island or something similar when he or she designed it. The odd no man's land, or perhaps indeed a First World War novel. There are no landmines either side of no man's land. So this is the marsh, and the marsh there, Andy, you want to know where the marsh pride came from? Well, it came from there. They seem to have moved off to the north. Pride splinter, especially in an area where there's so much prey. The Agama pride, who we spend a lot of time with, and who I think Scott will go back to now, is an offshoot of this pride here. Probably the marsh pride breakaways, either first, second, or third generation, not sure which exactly. They were known then as the Olololo pride. The Olololo pride then split up, and so now that's why they're called the Agama pride. So that's what's going on there. And the Marsh Pride also, apparently, I think it was in 2014, the remaining members strayed up into an area where there were a whole lot of Maasai villages, and many of them were actually poisoned or killed. And so, well, they are not in the same way as they were during the time when they were made famous during the Big Cat Diaries. Let's head across to Taylor, who I think is with what? She's looking for a heartbeat.
Oh, okay, now we're live. Sorry, Megan, I started talking when you first said live. Right, I am looking for a heartbeat out here. Unfortunately, there don't seem to be too many animals with heartbeats at the moment. It's very quiet, hey? Not even the birds have been out and about. Craig and I have just been discussing. He said he saw a pair of rollers, but that was ages ago, off in the distance. And other than that, like I said, the odd dove, and then what else have we seen? We saw this virtual starling, but not even any hornbills around. I think we're going to have to go to quarantine. But even when I drove on quarantine today, there weren't any animals around there. Now, Mike, you're wondering if we get any woodpeckers in the park. Yes, we do. If I hear one tapping away, we'll try and find it. We get so many different types. We get cardinals, bennets, and bearded woodpeckers, golden-tailed. I think my favorite has to be the bennets. We had such a nice sighting not so long ago, on quarantine actually, that open area of a bennet's woodpecker. It was very pretty. However, I like the Neisner woodpeckers, quite cool. I've seen them down in the Eastern Cape before. Very nice. Unfortunately, they don't occur all the way up here. But we are still looking for birds, and hopefully we'll find a bird party and be able to spend some time with them, and maybe they'll catch some insects for us. But it seems as though Scott has put his Superman outfit on. He's here, he's arrived, and he's got the lions.
Well, we got very, very lucky. This 7-month-old cub is lying out in the open, and that alerted us to some other pride members. There's one just above it, of a similar age, possibly a brother or a sister. There we go, hidden in the bush. And interestingly, we just got a glimpse of one small cub. Now, I'm not certain whether it's the smallest small cubs or the bigger small cubs, but it walks straight past that individual, so it would be interesting to know if the smallest cubs have been introduced to their bigger cousins. But I haven't seen... Oh, here's a lioness coming up from the bottom right. Let's see if we can work out what lioness that is, if that's the mother of the smallest cubs. She's got a little scar below her left ear, and I think I got a glimpse of it there. And what that hopefully means is her tiny little fluff balls won't be too far behind, hopefully following her. Or they could already be up there where she's heading towards. Either way, good prospects. Let's hope that she calls them out from wherever they're hiding. She may have stashed them away, having just nursed them. Time will tell. That is kind of roughly where the little cub that we did get a glimpse of came from. It headed from right to left. So in the opposite direction she's heading towards now. They could be stashed away just about anywhere. When she found them this morning, they were stashed in quite a measly little thicket, to be honest. And I was astonished that she had chosen that spot to stash them away. It wasn't a very elaborate bush for them to hide in, or a crevice for them to sneak away from other predators in. But a stroke of fortune that we've got to see them in what can be quite a tricky area to get views of them. Hello to Mike. You would like to know if lion prides are enemies with one another. Ferg, I'm just going to ask you to zoom out quickly, because all these butterflies coming past is quite beautiful. And yes, most certainly, they will fight fiercely for territories, and they are not very welcome to intruders. How it will often work, though, is that the males will compete with males. How awesome are all these butterflies streaming past? Hundreds of them. So how it usually works, Mike, is that lioness will compete against other lioness. So the lioness will have their territories of their prides, and then the males will compete with other males. So they're kind of two different battles that are going on, one between males and one between females. And often how it works is that males will have maybe 3 or 4 prides of females within their large territory, depending on how powerful the coalition is. Beautiful. Let's see what the lioness is back up to now. She's in a good spot there. So yes, it's something that we will, I'm sure, capture at some point, Mike, some interaction and turf warfare between the lion of this area, but so far we're still just working out where their territories begin and end. Please call out your little cubs. Let me actually double check if it's the right lioness. No, it doesn't appear to be the correct lioness. So that is possibly, I didn't see a distinct scar to the left of her ear or below her ear. Oh, here we go, Ferg. There's a youngster coming out towards the one you're on. If you go left, there we go. See, now I'm not certain whether these cubs are the smallest ones. It's so difficult to be sure. But still an adorable little furball nonetheless, playing with its older cousin. John, as soon as this action subsides, we will be certain to give you a landscape view. That is your request, and the landscape is absolutely marvelous around us. We're in a spectacular part of the Mara here, and very, very fortunate to consider this the doorstep of our playground. Hi, Roshni. You're interested to know if the predators' hunting techniques have changed since the migrations arrived. And yes, I think, for those lions who are lucky enough to be in the areas where the migration has reached, their hunting techniques have become simplified, in that it's very easy for them. If they just lie in wait, often something will come running past them. So it's easy pickings. They'll be spending less time hunting. But in terms of the actual techniques and takedowns, the stalkings, it's probably fairly similar to business as normal. It's just that they've got far more opportunities. This pride of lion has yet to realize the benefits of the migration, and at this stage it'll be a couple of weeks until the migration reaches here. John, there's at least a little teaser of the scenery that we're in. Thanks, Ferg. And one of my favorite things is watching lions slink through this golden grass. Bushes like that, not ideal, but there we go. That's a bit better. A window of opportunity. Now, where is this lioness missioning off to? I wonder what her plans are. Well, while she disappears, I'm just going to ask Ferg to pan all the way to the left, to the end of your range, because it's a beautiful, beautiful view out there to the left. The right is also good. But there's a large herd of giraffe that I want to have a look at to the left, Fergs. Hello to Andy. There we go. Beautiful. It's quite a large journey of giraffes off to the south of us. Andy, you would like to know why would one lioness spend time away from the pride? And at this stage, my theory is that they are concerned about introducing their very small cubs to the bigger cubs in the pride, knowing that their rough and tumble may injure them. So that is one possible reason. A lot is unexplained in this area regarding the lion dynamics, and having chatted to some researchers, they informed us that especially in the Mara Triangle, where we are based, and the Mara Reserve, which is on the eastern side of the Mara River, which is another area we traverse, the lion dynamics are far more fluid than normal. And basically what that means is that the lioness within prides, when young lioness are born into a pride, in the normal scenario, they would stay with their pride. Whereas here in the Mara, they tend to bombshell quite a lot and create their own breakaway prides. So it's something that we can't answer fully just yet, but it is something we would like to try and get a better understanding of as to why and how the lions in this area operate slightly differently to lions in other parts of Africa. Now, the one lioness that was walking off, she's plonked herself under a tree in the shade at about 10 o'clock there. There she is. She's accounted for, having a snooze in the shade there. And the other little cub that was visible Good move. It is getting hot. I would have done the same thing if I were you. And the other lions have now disappeared out of sight. So we're going to give it a few more minutes here, see if any more pop out. And in the meantime, send you back to Taylor, who is still in search of the partying birds.
Will we find them? I don't know. Craig, what do you think? How are you feeling? Are your bird senses tingling yet? You must be a bit more chirpy then. Ha ha! There's a roller. You're quite right, Craig. Quickly, before it flies away. We can add 4 birds to our list this morning. Now, I don't know where the bird parties are, but Craig, you're definitely much better at spotting the birds than I am, apparently, but you've probably had years of practice. Look at that beautiful lilac-breasted roller sitting up against the blue sky. Although it's not completely blue today, unfortunately. There are actually some interesting clouds that are developing. They've got dark grey bottoms to them. Now, not necessarily rain clouds, because if they were... Oh, hang on. What just happened? Did I just hear the word leopard on the radio? Hang on, let me just figure out what's going on over here. We're very far away, though, from where we were searching. It's not where we can drive, unfortunately. Okay, I'm not exactly sure which property it is. I don't know if it's Torchwood or Buffelshoek. Hook. And they have found a leopard. They also haven't specified if it's male or female just yet. But as soon as I hear any more information, I will update you. But how cool is that? Now, I don't know what's going on with the weather. I'm just glad that we don't have any wind and that it's warmed up. Because yesterday morning was freezing, ice cold. So we're back to our normal weather again. Okay, apparently it's 64 and 18. No, it's not too bad. That's about the normal. Oh, we've got another roller coming in. Hello, are you Mr. and Mrs. Roller? Oh, this will be nice. Let's see what's happened. You see? Oh, courtship. Oh, wow. Did you see that? Did you see how incredible that was? So what happened there? The male actually brought a prenuptial gift to the female. That's the one who just ate it. That is so cool. And then he sort of, that wasn't a proper mating attempt though, unfortunately. But how great was that? So this is what I'm so excited about now, is even though the cats are not cooperating, the birds are, especially with my nest search. Now, we're going to see a lot of this courtship process starting to sort of develop. We're hearing a lot more birds that we haven't been hearing. For instance, the black-headed orioles have been singing their song quite a bit, and we've been seeing them around more often. And that was and just another tick on the list to say that the birds are getting ready to start making their nests. And that is interesting to me, because I feel as though it's a little bit early. If I remember, I thought we only started seeing this type of behavior, when was it? Like a month or 2 from now. Let me grab my mobile device while you look at this. I want to actually have a look and see if I can figure out when the breeding season from the rollers are. This is what we need to start learning now. But there's also some raptors, big birds flying in the sky. There could be vultures. I think they're searching for a thermal to catch. I don't know if you'll be able to see them, Craig. It's so far away. Oh, there, top right-hand corner of your screen. It's just flying on the cloud. It's just going past that cloud. I don't know which vultures they are, but definitely a particular type. There's about 4 or 5 of them. They don't look like they're diving. They just look like they're trying to catch a thermal, which might be slightly tricky on a day like today. What are we looking for? Rollers. So we need to go to R, and then I will be able to tell you what the breeding season is. Lilac-breasted roller. Let's go all the way down. This app is very handy. I suppose I have books too, but the books, oh my goodness, you see me trying to page through them very quickly. Okay, now I think I've gone past breeding. You'll see me what I look like as I search. No, that's just describing adults, distribution, habitat, breeding. That's what we're looking for. Okay, now we need to find the part where it says, here we go, laying dates. Laying dates typically between August and February. It's a bit early. It's interesting. Everything is very interesting. Knobthorn trees are getting their flowers when typically they should only get them in October, November. what is going on. I don't know what's going on out here, but I'm going to enjoy seeing the courtship process and finding nests of birds. Let's go across to Scott, who has not got the lions, but he seems to also have a lizard.
Well, talking of courtship, with birds, these little reptiles have also got very, very interesting courting displays. However, we can be certain that it's not that time of the year for them. These little agamas, they're probably around 20 to 30 centimeters long, depending on their size, will actually go a beautiful blue and purple color when they are in their breeding outfits. And to see that change is quite incredible, and that's something we can look forward to in the coming months. This one, though, it did start bobbing its head, which is a kind of courting display, or possibly a territorial display, and that's quite a typical move that agamas like to use. They bob their heads up and down. Oh, a little bit like that. There we go. We should employ you full time. You know exactly what to do and when. Thank you. It's wonderful when the animals align their movements with whatever we are talking about. So that was a bonus. This one, oh, it obviously, you may have got a glimpse. If you blinked, you would have missed it. Another one skirted off behind it, and that's why it swiveled around to obviously make sure this possible intruder doesn't come into its patch. Okay, so, thanks Ferg. Now, the lions have moved off into a series of gullies where we can't really see them, so I think we're going to head off. We did get a lucky glimpse, which I was very happy with, and what we will do now is see what other interesting animals we can find for you. Alright. Chatting with Ferg and Louise while you guys were with Taylor, we think that that little cub that we saw earlier was part of the larger generation of smaller cubs, and I'm not sure what you guys think, if you guys have got any insight into that, if you agree. The smaller cubs are just a little bit more wobbly on their feet and slightly cuter, in my opinion. They're all very, very cute though, and we, again, are just so fortunate to have all these little cubs around. Let's hope they all make it. It's unlikely that they will, which is just a sad reality, but we can, of course, hope that that is the case. Hello to Michelle. You are wondering how long will a lioness leave her cubs for? And it all depends on their luck, really. A lioness, if it has to, will fend for herself before having to fend for her cubs. The reason being is that it's no good having a starving mother that can't produce any milk and can't think straight. So if lions are going through a bad patch with hunting, it is the cubs that will bear the brunt, but that makes sense. Rather lose 3 cubs than lose an adult breeding lioness, and she'll be able to come into season during better times and in 3 months' time give birth to more cubs. Having said that, I still haven't answered your question, so I'll attempt to do that now. In my history, it's not uncommon for a lioness to leave cubs for up to about 6 hours. It does depend on how small they are. Obviously, the smaller they are, the more dependent they are on their mother and the more regularly they have to nurse. But easily 6 hours, they'll move many miles away from their cubs, leaving them completely unattended. There's no one that stays back to babysit, and they just rely on tucking them away into thickets, where if they keep quiet, most animals will be able to walk past them without even knowing they're there. Okay. Now what I want to do is just take you up onto what is essentially our driveway, which is straight ahead of us. We drive up that hill in front of us, and there's often a huge amounts of game there, lots of different species. When we drove down, we saw eland, topi, Coke's hartebeest, warthog, zebra, impala, some buffalo. So I'm hoping to get you into a good spot to scan around and see what's around. I forgot to mention eland, I think. Okay, well, put your seatbelts on. You're about to jump onto a highly mobile vehicle with Taylor.
Scott, that is so funny. I feel like we haven't even met yet, but you know me so well. We're racing to see our second mammal species, third mammal species, because we've done hyena, we've done impala, and Megan told me that there's a huge herd of wildebeest down at the dam. So that's where we're going now. We're quickly going there. Sadly, I'm not racing like I chase after wild dogs. Oh! Megan's feeding me intel. I think we could be close to these wildebeest than we think. Apparently they're not at the dam camp anymore. They're this side. So we should see them then. Wildebeest, wildebeest, where are you, wildebeest? I can see impala. If these wildebeest are hiding from me, I'm going to be upset. Because I've now traveled all this way to see you. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Oh no, we're never going to get there in time, Craig. We've missed them. They're going towards Mvubu Road. How did we miss them earlier? They must have been hiding in the drainage line somewhere. Perhaps I was telling you an ostrich story and then I was distracted. But there are the wildebeest in the very far distance, migrating towards... If they carry on going like that, they eventually are going to pop out on Gari cut line, or maybe even the fire break, and perhaps they are heading now further northeast. Don't go too far, wildebeest, because I might need to find you this afternoon and spend a bit of time with you. Now, the reason why I didn't go all the way across the dam wall is just because by the time we would have got there, the show would have ended. But they look fairly happy. And look, Craig, we've got another bird to add to our list. It's the red-billed hornbills. Can you see it just in the grass? Maybe if I roll forward, you'll get a gap. There you go, you got it. There's a hornbill digging in... Actually, I think it could be eating termites, the way that it is moving around with its beak. No, now it looks like it's digging in the soil. But the fact that it looked like it kept getting lots of things to eat made me think maybe ants or termites. What you got there? Obviously, we can't see. The grass is way too long. But there is a home that is up in one of these knob thorns where you saw the hornbills look like they were preparing a nesting site. But I don't know where they are. Let me go forward. Maybe we can get another view of our friend, the hornbill. We need a yellow hornbill now. That would be nice. I also didn't get to find my southern ground hornbills. I wonder where they've disappeared to. Okay, who else are we going to see here? We're not going to get a better view of that hornbill. Come on, bird party, or squirrel in the tree. There's another bird. Is it a woodpecker? Are you a woodpecker? We were talking about woodpeckers. Oh no. Right, it seems as though we're not going to win today with the birds or the animals, but that's alright. I'm not put off by it. We'll hopefully get them this afternoon. Let's go back across to Scott.
Okay. 4 till 7. Well, we haven't made it as far as we would have liked to up the ridge. However, most of the game was kind of just over that little ridge there. Just on our right-hand side, and they are looking immaculately clean and well fed. Well, it's been a great privilege having Masai Mara, even though it was just a short time on our vehicle, but certainly great for you to also spend some time with James from the control room, as well as Taylor racing you around the Sabi sands. This afternoon, we've got some great adventures lined up. There will be feeds from both Djuma and the Mara, so that's something to look forward to.